Hi everybody, I'm Jared Pike. This is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, April 8th. On today's show, Norm Arnold shows us his cool vehicle, a two-wheeled motorized scooter. We'll also celebrate Ruth Deuber's 150th episode of What's Cooking, with a complete 3-course meal of Caribbean favorites. But first, this morning, the Vision Enrichment Group goes high-tech. Just because you have vision issues doesn't mean you can't utilize iPads or smartphones or all the other latest electronic gadgets. Learn how from Bruce Finley, who teaches about iPads in the Shell Point Academy. He'll be speaking at the Vision Enrichment Group at 10:15 a.m. in the Social Center on the island. All are welcome. Also this morning, animal lovers are sure to love this program, starring Stanley the Possum. He's one of the special guests of CROW, the Clinic for the Rehabilitation of Wildlife on Sanibel. And he'll be visiting Shell Point at 10:30 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Come hear more about the efforts of CROW in saving wildlife. Today, the Bloodmobile will be visiting Shell Point from 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Donating blood is easy, and you get a free mini physical in the process, in addition to some great giveaway prizes. Each pint of blood helps the lives of up to 3 people. So, visit the Bloodmobile today in front of the village church and help save a life. And then tonight, the big event happens in the Resident Activity Center. It's the Photo Show's annual gala and awards ceremony. All are welcome to peruse through the exhibit and then be there when the winners are announced at 7:15 p.m. There are refreshments, photos, and fun, so come on down. Now, all this week we are talking about cool cars, because our Route 66 Variety Show this month is celebrating car culture. So we're looking for people with cool cars to park them in front of the village church that night and show them off to the Shell Point population. But not all cool vehicles at Shell Point are the 4-wheeled variety. Norm and Grace Arnold of Teledora told us about why they like the 2-wheeled vehicles.
Well, I'm Norm Arnold, and I live in Teledora Court, along with my wife, Grace.
I'm Grace Arnold, and I also live in Teledora Court.
We've been at Shell Point for about a little over 10 years now.
Well, while we were in Cleveland, we also had mopeds, and they were a fun thing to ride around. And so when we got down here, we found out we could have these scooters, which did not use the gasoline like the mopeds did, and we felt we're not having the smell to go along with it. So when we saw these, we just thought this would be ideal for here.
One of our sons had seen these in an internet where he was buying a part for his daughter's scooter. And he suggested that we look into this, knowing that this could constitute the poor man's golf cart in Shell Point. So we just felt that it would be something proper, and we have been doing this now probably for 5 or 6 years. The scooter we presently have is a Schwinn, and it's just a battery pack that fits into the floorboard of it. The previous scooter that we had, and we wore one out after about 5 years, it contained 2 batteries similar to what the people here use in the motorized wheelchairs, or the little scooters as they call them. And we bought the wheels, the tires, and the batteries from the same place. I would say probably the most fun part is the reactions of people when they see us riding it. When Grace rides it, and she can hardly ever get back home without being stopped several times by people wanting to know what this gray-haired lady is doing riding around on a scooter.
If you've got a cool vehicle like this one, we want to show it off at the Route 66 Variety Show on April 29th. Call Leslie Brand at 454-2057 to learn more. Now, it's time for a celebration. Ruth Deuber of Periwinkle has filmed many segments of her instructional show, What's Cooking? Today, it's the 150th episode, and Ruth has brought in some special guests to mark the occasion. In this extended episode, Ruth and friends will show you how to make a 3-course Caribbean meal, including salad and dessert.
Hi, I'm Ruth Deuber, and this is What's Cooking at Shell Point, and this is a special show today. I have Dede Darcy with me, who's been on many of the shows, and we've done special shows for other occasions. But this is special to me because this is my 150th show. And I've asked a few of the cooks that have been on with me in the past, and I think you ought to introduce yourselves. If you remember one dish that you made, tell me what it was.
I'm Ellen Crouch, and I made a dish, cake with lemon filling. It was called daffodil cake.
Eleanor Perkins. I think the first one I did was the apple dumpling.
That's right. And this is my butter lady. I call her that because, she's so tiny, but she cooks with butter all the time.
That's Southern cooking. You got to have butter.
And I'm Gos Goslin, and I did several dishes. One of my favorites was the garlic bread, and I had it, but I never tried it at home, I must confess. But it came out great.
I'm Barbara Milligan, and I guess I cook Texas goulash. I'm from Houston, Texas.
That tells it right there. The first recipe that we're going to do, pork tenderloin, and it's Frito-style pork tenderloin, and this is actually a Cuban dish. We're going to make the sofrito sauce first, and we'll do that over here where the blender is and all the spices that go in it. The sauce that I'm making is for 1 pork tenderloin. When we put it up on the website, all the ingredients will be for 2 pork tenderloins. So in the blender, I already have a 1/2 cup of green peppers, 2 tablespoons of onion, and I've used the red onion. And now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and 1 tablespoon of cilantro, and a 1/2 tablespoon of red wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And this is where you can use how much ever you like. If you like red peppers, it's the crushed red pepper. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon. If you're brave and you want more than that, you can certainly add it. There's no problem. The first thing I want to talk about is how you prepare your pork tenderloin. I know when Dede and I did the show, I mentioned taking off the silver skin that's on the pork tenderloin. That really is important because it can be really tough if you bite into that silver skin. So I remove that, and I remove any extra fat that's on that. And then what you want to do is cut some tiny slits. You don't want to go too deep, about that far apart. Now this is where you get your hands into it. This is your sofrito sauce. Now the recipe does say that it should be chilled for at least an hour or overnight, and I like to do it overnight because the flavors just blend better. I like to use an electric skillet because I can control the temperature better. We're going to sear it. You use just a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. Again, I wish we had smell-o-vision. You want to put it in, like a cookie sheet if you're doing 2 tenderloins, and just a smaller pan. And I prefer to line it with these Reynolds non-stick. Okay, then this goes into a 425 degree oven, and it should bake for about 15 minutes. You really want to try it with a meat thermometer, and it should be up to 165. And so now we're going to show Dede. She's going to do the next thing that we did at the show, and that's the Caribbean black beans and rice.
When I cook this recipe, I usually make it for a crowd, so it's kind of a visual thing, how much green pepper, how much, or a red pepper, how much green onion, but I'm going to try to follow it exactly as it's written. So we have 1 can of black beans, and I've drained those. Now when I drain it, I don't run water over them because it's the juice that the beans come in is good. So I dip it in the strainer and then just put a little water in the can and just quickly rinse that. So you can see that the black beans do have a little bit of the juice that the can came in. And then I used a cup and a quarter of rice. The recipe calls for white rice. I like saffron rice. And you can get that at the grocery store very easily. It's in with all the rice and beans. Calls for 3/4 cups of green onion chopped. And the recipe actually calls for 3/4 of a cup of yellow pepper and red pepper chopped. But since we're using the yellow rice, I always use the red pepper. If you prefer the white rice, then by all means use any color pepper you want. And then, again, mix it up. This is something that I've discovered. I'm getting arthritis in my wrists. Over at Tanger, a little commercial plug, they have these salt and pepper shakers that you just push the button and you grind the sea salt and you grind the pepper. They're wonderful. They're absolutely perfect. It's a pretty color. This is also, you can serve it cold as a salad. You can serve it room temperature. And you can also, if you want, you can put it in the microwave and warm it up as a hot side dish. It's a versatile recipe. Then for the dressing, 1/2 cup of olive oil, which is this. And I poured that into 1/4 cup of cider vinegar. I'm lazy, so anytime anything calls for garlic, I use this product, which you can get in the produce section of any grocery store. And it is minced, squeezable garlic. 1 teaspoon of cumin. When we were looking for recipes in the show, for the show on the internet, one of the sites said that just anytime you want an island or Cuban flavor, just use a lot of cumin, which we just did. Now I like to put the dressing on and stir it up. Sometimes it can have too much dressing and it's too oily. So again, you do it by look. And Cuban cooking is not spicy hot. It can be, but it isn't necessarily spicy hot. And there you go. There it is. Cold, room temperature, or warmed up. It's a great side dish. And I did not use all of the dressing. This is a to die for cake. I went ahead and made it ahead of time. This cake is versatile. You can make it a week ahead and freeze it. It thaws wonderfully. It's a very moist, dense cake because you've got, again, easy cooking. You start with a yellow cake mix and you add a package of the instant lemon pudding, 4 eggs, 1/4 cup of cold water, and 1/2 cup of limeade. And in the store you can buy limeade in the can in the frozen section. It's like the old-fashioned orange juice where you dump the limeade in and then add 3 cans of water. When I'm making it for this cake, I don't put quite as much water. I want the limeade flavor to kind of overpower you. Some vegetable oil, and then 2 tablespoons of grated lime. Usually 2 tablespoons is 1 lime. So when you're looking at a recipe, that's what it is. You bake it, take it out, cool it for 10 minutes, and then while it's baking and cooling, you make the glaze, which is 1/4 pound or 1 stick of butter, another 1/2 cup of limeade, 1 cup sugar, and 2 tablespoons of grated lime. Once the cake cools, I am overly zealous when it comes to putting toothpick holes in it. So there are lots of toothpick holes, and it's a hint, it's a liquid glaze. So when you are pouring the glaze over the cake, put cans of beans underneath it, because it's going to run over, and it just makes it easier to clean up if whatever excess it just runs over. I also usually end up with, in the center of the cake, there's a little well of the glaze, and you just kind of get rid of it by scooping it back up onto the cake. This cake actually was made 3 days ago, and I froze it, and it should be perfect today. So, Ruth, are you ready for your pork?
Yeah, we're going to show the pork here, and you'll see that it is just a little bit pink, and I think it's so easy to overcook pork. So don't do that. Don't overcook it. So there's our pork. Here's Dede's beans, the cake. Now all my guests and I are going to have a good lunch, including the camera guys. So look for the recipes on the website. Thank you all for coming and helping me celebrate my 150th show. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Coming up, we are covering all of today's happenings from Resort Services. Then stay tuned for your menu choices and Village Church connections.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley and this is Leslie Brand, and we're going to go over the activities that we offer for you here at Shell Point today. We're going to have a bright and early start at 7:15 with the Health Connections class, Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That'll be down in the Health Club on the island. And then at 8 o'clock we have round robin doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. 8:15, the stamp ministry will be going on down in the tunnel in the stamp room. The Ladies Golf Association will be out at the Shell Point Golf Club at 8:30. 9 o'clock's the time for bocce. That's down at the Woodlands Bocce Court. Also at 9 o'clock we have pickleball down at the pickleball court, which is behind the Resident Activities Center. At 9:15 we have open painting. That'll be down in the art studio. Also at 9:15 we have shuffleboard at the shuffleboard courts. At 9:30 we have the match play mixed doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And we'll move to 10:15 for Through the Bible study in the Osprey Room on the island. Also at 10:15 we have the Vision Enrichment Group. They gather at the Social Center on the island. At 10:30 we have a special guest. We have Meet the Virginian Possum. That's with the Crow Center for Rehabilitation of Wildlife. That's in the Grand Cypress Room down at the Woodlands. Sign up is required. 11 o'clock our Susie Q boat goes out to Rum Runners for lunch. You do need to sign up at the Island Greeters desk for that. Then at 11:30 the Bloodmobile will be at the Village Church. It'll stay till 5 o'clock. Our last activity for the morning is 11:45. We have a Health Connections. This is Living Healthy. That'll be in the Osprey Room. Here's Leslie for your afternoon lineup.
Thank you, Bev. At 12:30, we have Mixed Progressive Bridge in the game room at the Woodlands. 1:15, Knitters Group in the Osprey Room on the island. 1:15, we have the Rollicking Recorderist in the Tarpon Room. And lastly, at 1:15 is Women's Ministries Prayer in the Hospitality Room of the Village Church. 1:30, Health Connections Aqua Pilates Stretch at the Life Quest Aquatic Center. 1:30, Stamp Ministry in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. At 2:45, we have a Health Connections Balance and Mobility Training Level 2 in the Health Club. Sign up is required. At 4:15, we have a Health Connections Tai Chi Cha practice sessions in the Health Club on the island. That class is currently full. 7:15 is the photo show opening gala in the Resident Activity Center on the island. Thank you for tuning in with us today, and we hope you have a great day.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is oyster po' boy with fries and creamy slaw. The dinner special is build your own stir fry for $12.95, and the soup of the day is chicken and white bean chili. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Tuesday, the special is a French dip on a hoagie with fries for $7.25. The dinner special is Island Cafe Picnic with your choice of hot dogs or hamburgers for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Tuesday are pecan-crusted grouper for $18.95 or chicken Florentine for $14.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here today with Matt Hawkins, who just happens to have my same last name, and that's because he's my son. And I'm delighted that you're here with us, but actually we're here to talk about some substantive things, particularly as it concerns religious freedom issues. And so you're the resident expert in our family on religious freedom issues, and hope we can share some of that with the Shell Point community.
I'll do my best.
That's great. Let me first of all sort of set the stage for this and ask you who you work for.
I work for the Southern Baptist Convention. The Southern Baptist Convention is essentially a network of churches, all local and autonomous, that cooperate primarily to raise up, train, send missionaries, and also help plant churches. So that's why the Southern Baptist Convention exists, very basically. By virtue of the size of our membership, we're basically the largest Protestant denomination in the United States, second only in size to Roman Catholics.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, you don't work just for the Southern Baptist Convention. You also work for the...
That's correct. My particular employer is an entity within the Southern Baptist Convention that seeks to assist churches. We are called the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission.
So let me see if I get this straight.
Right.
You work for the Southern Baptist Convention Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission.
That's correct.
Amazing. You have won the prize for the most longest and most complex name of any employer that we've ever had and interviewed here.
Exactly. Fantastic.
Tell us a little bit about the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission.
Sure. The Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, my employer, essentially assists local churches face tough issues with regard to what's going on in the public square. So this largely consists of moral, ethical challenges facing the church, and we seek to come alongside the church and help them see moral, ethical challenges through a biblical worldview. Mm-hmm. Part of that responsibility includes education and advocating on behalf of Southern Baptists to the three branches of the federal government. So in some sense, it's a government relations position. That's only part of what we do, but that's part of what my role is in our Washington, D.C. office.
I see. Now, Baptists have had an interesting history, I think, with respect to religious liberty issues that go back a long way. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Baptists have an interesting heritage with regard to religious freedom. My own office is named the Leland House. It's named after a minister, John Leland, who was a minister at the time of America's founding. He was an itinerant preacher in Virginia, and Baptists at that time were very concerned about religious freedom issues because the state church in Virginia at that time was locking people up that didn't square with the state expression of Christianity. So John Leland, we call agitated James Madison for inclusion of religious freedom in the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights. So we have a rich history, particularly with regard to religious freedom, because Baptists were kind of on the forefront in staking that claim out.
So the First Amendment actually came out of issues that John Leland faced and that Southern Baptists faced back at the very beginning of our country.
That's correct. In fact, my own boss, Russell Moore, has an ancestor named Jeremiah Moore, who was a Baptist minister in Virginia during this time and was locked up 3 times in prison for preaching a different gospel than the state church.
Interesting. Wow. So you work for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission with all of that historical background. Correct. That's really exciting. And you work in Washington, D.C.
That's correct.
Your office is in Capitol Hill.
Yep.
What exactly is your job in the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission?
Sure. My title with the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission is Coalitions Director, which my wife basically describes as being a social butterfly for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. What that basically involves is looking for opportunities to partner with groups to accomplish like-minded goals. So there are many groups which we cooperate with whom we may not share any theological agreement, but we might agree on a public policy matter. So for example, on the topic of international religious freedom, I hosted last week a meeting that included a number of Christians, a Roman Catholic, a Hindu, a Muslim, and a Scientologist. We couldn't be more divergent on subjects of theology and eternal things, but we agree on principles of religious freedom, and that's what brings us together to collaborate from time to time.
Thank you for joining us on this special occasion in which we have been discussing religious freedom issues, and we hope to see you soon, either in the community somewhere or at the Village Church. Blessings to each and every one of you.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as we look back at the automotive history of Phil Steen, who has owned everything from Stanley steamers to prototype electric cars from the 1970s. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, April 8th. I'm Jared Pike, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.